about responsibility of a safety advisor inside a home. Okay, we're going to talk about that. There are 7 basics that a safety advisor must do at all times. Some of these are done inside the home, all right? And then of course some of this responsibility takes place when you're outside of the home, when you're by yourself or you're in the office. So everybody write these 7 basics down. The first basic that I want to talk with you about today, Gene, is be professional. I want everybody to write that down. This is the first one. Be professional. So I'm going to name these off, and then when we're done naming these off, Gene, I want you to talk about how important they are. Okay, here we go. So first, you got to dress the part. You got to also be organized. You got to talk professionally. You got to sell yourself. Do your demo without skipping anything. You got to have eye contact. You got to repeat what the customers say, and you got to say their names repeatedly. I'm going to repeat those. Dress the part. Be organized. Talk professionally. Sell yourself. Do your demo without skipping anything. Have eye contact with the customers. Repeat what they say, and say their names repeatedly. Gene, talk about how important being professional inside a home and those little subcategories are.
Well, it's so important. Something popped into my head as soon as you said that, something my dad always taught me, and that is the first impression is the lasting impression. So that's from the moment you step out of your car, pull in their driveway, before you even get to the door, you're making your first impression. So being professional in appearance, and that goes back to your car too. But just, you got to show up as a professional or they're not going to respect you and your opinion and the facts that we're sharing with them. They're not going to respect that if you don't present yourself as professional. So that's super important to not just talk as a professional. Your speech has to reflect that, but also your appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. You're already losing the game if you show up to the house undressed. To the point, you need to be very professionally dressed when you show up to that house. If you come in there with a t-shirt on or some dirty shoes, or I'm being serious, and I chuckle at some of this stuff myself. How are you dressed when you show up? But I'm gonna tell you guys, I've been on a lot of training demos, and I've seen people not dressed properly for the demo, and the customers just looking at them like, how can I take you serious? So the way you dress for a demo is very, very important. So, if you're a guy, a nice button-up shirt, dress shirt, nice dress slacks, some nice dress shoes, that's awesome. I know some people wear a nice polo shirt with the company name on it. That's awesome. But just dress the part. Be organized. Talk about that just for a quick second about the organization of the safety advisor.
Well, organization from the way you pack your bag, whether you carry a backpack or like a roller suitcase, whatever you do for your demo kit, everything needs to be organized because, again, it goes back to being professional. If you're fumbling around for your recruiting brochure and you can't find what you need, that's very unprofessional to that family. If you're organized, I'm telling you right now, I could pull my backpack, not even look at it, pull out my folder and pull out whatever brochure I need or whatever comes next. Everything is organized. It's in the same order every single time. I do everything the exact same way. So organization is huge because it goes back to being professional.
Absolutely. And you think about this too. I want all the people listening right now, how do you expect somebody to give you their social security number if you're fumbling through paper?
Exactly.
Dude, I'm not giving you nothing. If you got paperwork falling all over the place, if you're just not looking the part, if you're unprofessional, if you are just completely discombobulated during your demo with paperwork, why in the world would I might even love your product, but I ain't buying from you because I don't like you and I don't trust you with my social. I don't trust you with my information. So being organized make or breaks you inside a home. I assure you of that. Now, I want you to talk about this too, because this is huge, and then we're going to move on to this other section, the number 2 basic for a safety advisor. And I want you to talk about selling yourself, because you've heard me say this 1,000 times. They're not buying OmniShield, they're buying you. So talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, and again, it all starts with that first impression. selling yourself, making a good impression on them right out of the gate. Something as simple as knowing their names before you get to the door. You can greet them with their name. You know, you talk about using the names over and over throughout the demo, and that's powerful, but you got to start with that up front too. And really everything we're talking about just leads back to being a professional, but selling yourself in the home, you're exactly right. They're not necessarily buying OmniShield. They're buying you. If they like you and you sell yourself properly, not only are you going to protect them, which is our main goal anyway, but you're also going to get those referrals if they like you. You're going to get those Survey Monkeys posted if they like you. You're going to get InstaSets right there at the table if they like you. So selling yourself is crucial, because you can't just go in there and talk up the products and everything. Yes, they can sell themselves, but you're selling yourself first and foremost. So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Hey man, you nailed all that. That's awesome. I'm not even going to add to that because what you just said was perfect. All I want to say is this. I'm going to repeat the things that we just said. So for someone that's trying to write these down, I can't stand when somebody speaks fast and I can't write stuff down, Gene. It drives me insane. So I'm going to read that stuff again to you, and then we're going to move on to the number 2 through 7. All right. Now, be professional is the number one thing in the 7 basics for a safety advisor. And the reason it's number 1 is for multiple reasons, but I'll name one of them for you. If you're not professional, none of this other stuff we talk about matters. It doesn't even matter because none of it's going to work if you're not professional. So under professional, I want you to write little bullet points. Dress the part. That's at little A. B, be organized. C, talk professionally. No cursing, no swearing. Don't talk politics. Try to stay away from things that really get people to not like you. Okay? It's not about you. It's about protecting that family. D, sell yourself. And these are all little subcategories you guys can have sales meeting on in your offices. Just literally having a sales meeting about selling yourself could be key to recruiting and getting leads, protecting families. E is do your demo without skipping anything. Next is eye contact. Look them in the eyes. When you don't look people in the eyes, they don't trust you. All right? Repeating lets them know you're listening and also reiterates what they just said. Very key. And say their names repeatedly. I love what Gene just said a second ago. He said, I say their name when I first meet them. That's like the first thing that I do. I love that because it's a great first impression. So that's under be professional. There's a ton of other things we can put under there, but those are some basics there for you. Let's move on to the second one. The second one is posting a survey. Gene, if you did 100 presentations out of 100, how many times do you get a survey posted?
I would say 98, because you always run into some older people who don't even hardly know what Facebook is.
That's hilarious.
That's just a fact.
You know what? I thought you was going to say 100, and then when you said 98, I was like, what did you get ready to say? And then you said, that makes sense, dude, because there's people that just don't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Very, very cool, man. That's good stuff. So talk about posting a survey. How important is it to get a survey posted inside a home? This is the number 2 basic for a safety advisor. Go for it, Gene.
It's so important, and that's just part of our training is teaching them the importance of that, because if you go into one home, this is the mindset you have to have. As a safety advisor, if you go into one home, you protect that family, but you don't have them post a Survey Monkey, and you don't get any referrals, where are you going the next day? That's how important it is to have them post that Survey Monkey. It takes 2 minutes to take a picture, post that Survey Monkey, and you're going to have places to go before you ever leave that demo.
Love it.
It's crucial to have that posted every time.
Love it. So that's number 2 for your basics of a safety advisor. So number 1 is be professional. Number 2 is post a survey. Number 3 is getting referrals. All right, let's just touch on that for a moment. Gene, talk about pulling referrals. Talk about why it's important.
Well, again, if you're not getting referrals, you don't have anywhere to go the next day, the next week, the next month. It's so important. And there's an analogy that I like to use, and that is, don't be a baby bird just waiting for your office to feed you leads and demos to go to. As a safety advisor, I am an independent contractor. So I have my own business. So why would I not take control of my business and make sure I have places to go and people to see and families to protect? If you don't get leads yourself, you're basically giving up on your own business. And
isn't that the truth, man?
I'm a big sports guy, and I know you are too. And if you really think about this, who wants the ball when the game's on the line? Winners. So if you're a winner, why would you not want to take control of whether you have more places to go or not? That's all in your hands. How much you want to work is up to you. If you don't get the referrals, guess what? You're probably not going to have anywhere to go.
Right, exactly.
But if you do, then that's in your control. That's something you do in the home. No one else can do that for you. You've got to do it to set yourself up for the following day, the following week, the following month. You just don't know how far that one list of referrals can take you.
Yeah, I love what you said about the baby bird deal, and I love the thought process you have, because some people go in the home just to post a survey. And there's safety advisors on this call right now. You know you're one of those people, guys. If you're one of the people listening right now and you only post a survey, you're dropping the ball. You have to post a survey, and you must get referrals. All right? You must get referrals from these people. If you're not getting a list of leads from these people, you're dropping the ball massively. Because, listen, one thing Gary Robinson, I went over this call with Gary Robinson yesterday. And I was like, hey, give me some pointers on some things that you think I should add and here and there. And I always do that with him. I do that with other people too, like Carmen, Glenn, and folks like that. So when I talk to them and I ask them questions about, hey, give me a pointer here, give me a pointer there. What do you think we should add here? What do you think we should add there? One thing that Gary said yesterday was powerful. He said what they're doing inside that home sets up that marketing director and sets up that marketing department. A lot of people think, well, I'm just going home and I'll post a survey. Well, that's not enough. You got to get leads. That's for the marketing department. They got to make sure that you got those leads. And then we're going to talk about some other ones here in a second, but posting a survey and getting leads, that's your first two. That's your responsibility. That's not the marketing department's responsibility. That's your responsibility as a safety advisor. And if you don't do your responsibility, I'll be honest with you. If there's dealers out there who won't even let you run a sales call if you're not doing these things. And I agree with that. I'm going to go on record right now on this call and say I agree with that. You shouldn't be going into homes, because if you're not getting referrals and you're not posting a survey, then there's people out there that's not being seen that need to know about fire protection for their family. So I think it's very important. It's a great job, Gene. Now, something that you have really knocked it out of the park with, and I would say this is probably, I'm going to let you tell them if I'm right or not, but I'm going to go on record and say this is probably why you had such a good November and why you're having such a good year. It's because of the next one is instant sets. You've gotten really good at instant sets, haven't you?
As an office we have, and I can't take all the credit for that. Kyle Jordan, our trainer, has really been working on this, and we've been perfecting the scripts and how to do it and everything. And yeah, whenever you're getting referrals, turning those into an Instaset can be pretty simple. And obviously technique and scripts can vary, but when you're getting those referrals, you can just say, okay, now who is this person to you? And if it's a close family or friend, you can say, you know what, how about you just get them on the phone? And you can set an appointment right then and there with their friend or family member. And that's a very powerful tool, because if their friend or family member is calling them, that's even more powerful than you calling them and saying their family or friend referred them. That's a really powerful thing to use in the home. And they have a much higher close percentage as well, which is always a bonus.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a very easy appointment to get into, is instant set. So, because they have been referred, and plus, of course you got to sell yourself inside that home, but it becomes easier to sell yourself inside a home to people. It becomes easier because all you got to do is name drop. Hey, Gene, your good friend Jerry Wobble sent me to your house. And then you're like, yeah, man. And then all through your presentation, that presentation is a little bit different too, isn't it, James?
It is. And oftentimes when you get down to the close, once you close them and you're doing paperwork, they'll always bring up the question, hey, did so-and-so buy it too? And that's when it gets real fun. Because I've had people that their friend didn't, and they're like, well, you know what? I'm calling them when you leave. You know, like, dude, why did you not do this? You know what I mean? So that's when it gets real fun. When you get into those close-knit groups, it gets real fun.
Love it. Love it. All right, so before we move forward, I'm going to recap this. There's 7 basics for a safety advisor. Number one, be professional. Number 2, posting a survey. Number 3, pulling referrals. Number 4, getting an instance set. And number 5 is getting a green light. Gene, talk about green lights. Talk about why we do those.
Well, again, same as InstaSets. You know, you're getting those green lights, and I don't want people to get the misunderstanding. A referral is name and number. Green light, they're sending out a message or they're calling that person for you to green light that phone call that you're going to make. So again, this is a much higher percentage of you getting a hold of them, setting the appointment, higher percentage for closing as well. Green lights are incredible. Well, here you go. Here's some numbers for you. My green lights for last month, I closed 100%. So if that's not an incentive for you, I don't know what is.
Come on, brother. Talk to them.
So
that's good stuff.
Getting those green lights is so important, but you have to make sure they're sending that message out or making that phone call while you're there. Because, I mean, let's face it, families are busy. It's the same thing with posting a survey. If they don't do it while you're there, it's probably not going to get done. And
yeah, very true.
You can use that with them and say, hey, you know what? I'll help you do this real quick. It's really easy, but I know how busy you guys are. And once I leave, sometimes things just get forgotten because of how busy you are. So I'll just help you do this real quick, and then you get it done in the house and you're good to go. But if you leave it for later, it usually doesn't get done.
You know, I didn't ask you this in the beginning, but I do want to ask you. There's 2 ways you can present inside a home. You can do the flipbook presentation or you can do the iPad presentation. Which one do you use?
iPad, 100%.
iPad. And they're both great, guys. Don't get any of this twisted. I just want to ask him because he's been doing so well. So tell me what you love about the iPad presentation.
Well, I started off on the flipbook, which was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Like you said, they're both great. I love the iPad so much because I don't have to carry a big flipbook and I don't have to carry a big laptop to play the videos. It's all together. I pull out my iPad on the table. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, and then when you present with an iPad, it's a little different when you present with an iPad because I guess you're sitting right beside them. Are you doing that?
Yes, I'm either right beside them or I'm right at the corner of the table across from them, and I have it angled so we can all see the screen and see all the wording and videos and things.
Very good, man. Very good. Now, when it's time to move on to the next screen or the next verbiage in the script, do you have them do it, or are you doing that?
I'm doing that. I have a stylus, and I just swipe across the screen, tap on the green words, and just kind of roll through it that way. I've also played with using my phone as the remote to slide it for me, so I don't have to actually lean up and touch the screen.
Okay, very cool, man. Very, very cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. We went over being professional, number 1. Number 2, posting a survey. Number 3 is pulling referrals. Number 4, getting an instant set. Number 5, green lights. We got 2 more to cover, and then we're going to wrap this call down. The next one is personals. That is your responsibility, safety advisors. All of you out there is personals. Gene, you got a pretty cool thing to tell them about personals. Go for it.
I do. Like he asked me earlier, David, you asked me how long I'd been doing this. A little over 2.5 years. I am still running personal set appointments on acquaintances, former coworkers. My wife, Gladys, she is amazing at this, okay? She gets on Facebook, and for instance, this month, again, I got to keep referring back to this month, she found someone that she knew from high school, hadn't really seen him, talked to him in a long time, just had him on Facebook. She messaged them and said, hey, my husband's in a contest. All you have to do is show you some fire safety information, and you tell him what you think about it. Can you guys help him out? And they were like, oh, yeah, sure. So she gets me in and get a protection. They give me green lights, and I protected not only them, I protected their parents, and I protected his sister already. All from my wife just reaching out to a friend that she knew years ago, not that many years ago, don't get it twisted, we're still young, but years ago she knew in high school and got me in with this family. So 2.5 years in, I'm still running personals. And like we talked about a long time ago, me and you, David, had this conversation. That golden list should always be growing. You should always be meeting new people. The conversation always comes up, what do? You can latch onto that. And you can get in and show them a demo, show them the information, and it blows people away. So, yeah, you should always be setting personal appointments. I'm sure everyone has someone that they know that they haven't shown a demo to yet, whether that's family or friends. You can always be reaching out. And it's always just asking for help.
Yeah, well, you said it best, man. I mean, your golden list is changing and growing every year. I mean, you meet people, you get to know people, new friends, new associates. When you move, new neighbors. I mean, we can keep going on and on and on. And don't forget about your spouse, your wife's side. Like you said, Gladys, she has her own set of golden list folks that she knows, friends, family, all that. So that's awesome, man. That's a whole nother, again, you can do sales meetings on every one of these categories. And I know we're running a little long today, guys. We're at 37 minutes. We're almost done, but I think this has been great information today. The last one is getting a recruit. That's your responsibility, safety advisors. All of you, when you go inside the home, it's your responsibility, and that's the number 7 responsibility in the basics for a safety advisor is getting a recruit out of the house. Go for it, Gene. Just touch on that for a moment, and then we're going to wrap this call down.
Yes. So I know a lot of offices media hire. We're media hiring as well. And no offense to anyone out there that came off a media hire, but overall we found better quality recruits coming from in the home. And I mean, you never know what someone's going through, who you're sitting across from. Just because you know their occupation doesn't mean you know their financial status, you know, what their bank account looks like, what they're going through personally. Maybe they hate their job and you just don't know it.